Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If things look a little different around here, it's for a very good reason. I've decorated for Halloween, so you're seeing the remnants of my Halloween decor. I'm just not quite ready to take it down yet, but today we have a very exciting video for you. We are going to travel to Agra, India to go see the Taj Mahal. Yeah! I did this trip in October of 2019, and yes, it has taken me a full year to actually edit and put together the footage, but I really wanted to bring this video to life because when I think about my 2019 travels, getting to go see the Taj Mahal was such a highlight. It was such a special trip, and in this video, I'm gonna share with you all of the things that you need to know if you're gonna go see the Taj Mahal. I understand that 2020 is probably not a year you're gonna be able to go there, but something that has been bringing me so much joy in lockdown and in this crazy time is seeing other travel videos and imagining and planning and building out my travel bucket list for what the future years could hold whenever we're allowed to travel again. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you all of the practicalities about going to the Taj Mahal, from traveling from Delhi to Agra, how we organized our trip, what it's like to actually kind of arrive in Agra, get into the Taj Mahal, and then actually the Taj Mahal experience itself with a bit of history and some fun facts on the Taj Mahal. So are you ready? Let's jump in. All right, so let's start with how we planned our trip to the Taj Mahal. So I happened to already be in India for work, and we decided that we would spend one of our weekend days actually taking the trip to Agra from Delhi. Now, thanks to a new motorway that has opened, it is called the, now please forgive my pronunciation, it's called the Yamuna, Y-A-M-U-N-A, Yamuna Expressway. This motorway opened in August of 2012, and it has significantly cut down the transit time that it takes to get from Delhi to Agra. So it takes about 3 hours now each way on the motorway to get to Agra and to return. Now, some people decide to do a day trip. Others actually decide to stay overnight in Agra. There are so many gorgeous hotels in Agra, so if that's something that's of interest to you, I would recommend that. We actually just did the proper day trip, so 3 hours there and then 3 hours back, and we actually organized everything through our hotel. I was staying at the Crown Plaza in Noida. There's two of them. We actually stayed in the one that's closer to Delhi. I will leave it linked down below, and I've actually done a video review of the hotel, which I'll leave linked down below, but we actually organized the entire trip through them. So there are tour guides and things that you could just hire, but what we did is we actually inquired with the hotel and said we want to do this on kind of this date. And how the hotel organized it for us is most hotels in India have a hotel kind of car, and you can typically rent out that car for like a half day or a full day rate. And the car, depending on where it's going to take you, the pricing will change a little bit. So we actually booked the hotel driver for the day plus some overtime to drive us up to Agra. There would be one stop for a bathroom break at like a motorway kind of rest stop. And then he would actually drop us off at a hotel in Agra, and we would meet our tour guide there, and then we would drive with our tour guide to the drop-off point for the Taj Mahal, and then we would go in. So that was kind of the game plan for the day. It was all organized through the hotel, and it all went flawlessly. So I would highly recommend that. If you stay at a kind of 4 or 5 star hotel in India, they tend to be very well connected with kind of these guides and these resources. Now, that's not to say you couldn't just go on TripAdvisor and find guides and resources yourself. That's certainly an option. And I did see as well, there's also an option for taking a train to Agra. We did not do that. We just, because there were 5 of us, we opted to just rent the car, pay the fee for that, and then get dropped off in Agra. And the drive itself was perfectly fine. The motorway isn't really what I would call a very scenic one. You see a lot of kind of farmlands. You pass by kind of some small towns and villages. It's very flat in nature. So we had the one stop at the motorway. The bathroom facilities were perfectly fine there. Normal toilets, normal running water, some modern places that you could go get some food, drink, snacks. So we actually stopped at different rest areas on the way there versus the way back, and both of them were perfectly fine. I was actually the only woman in the group, so I had to go use the restroom by myself, but was totally fine. They had toilet paper, but general rule of thumb in India is always bring your own paper, like tissues or toilet paper just in case. Always helpful to bring your own hand sanitizer as well, because you don't know if there's gonna be soap in all of the bathrooms. So that would just be some practical advice there, but everything was super modern, super nice, and you know, very easy. Nobody bothered us at all. And then from there, we continued on our way all the way up through Agra. And then we pulled into, well, driving through Agra is definitely a bit more different than driving through Delhi. Definitely looks very, very different from a landscape perspective. So that was really interesting just to see a different contrast from the big city of Delhi to see kind of what Agra looks like. And then we pulled into the hotel that we were meeting our guide at. We were then had time to use kind of the bathrooms there, freshen up a bit. We met our guide, and it was there in the hotel that he gave us a full briefing on all the things we needed to be aware of to actually enter the Taj Mahal facilities, because the cars are actually not allowed to drive directly up to the Taj Mahal. You have to walk, I think it's like a quarter or half a mile actually into the facility, and there is a little motorized like shuttle bus that you can take. But before we get into that, let's go through some of the advice that he gave us. When you go to the Taj Mahal, there are different prices for Indian citizens versus foreigners. It's much less expensive for an Indian citizen to enter the Taj Mahal. So the price for Indian citizens, now I'm just looking at figures I found online. Figures for Indian citizens are around 50 Indian rupees, which if you translate that into the US dollars comes to about 67 cents, versus for foreigners, it's about 1,100 Indian rupees, which is just shy of $15. So it's not very expensive to enter the Taj Mahal. And we paid for our tickets as part of a package deal with the hotel car, with the guide. So everything was kind of included for us. So I do have a breakdown, but it all kind of adds up. So the reason for this is they do want to kind of allow, it has to be accessible for Indian citizens to enter first and foremost, but the foreigner's ticket also includes some other things. So your ticket includes shoe covers, a bottle of water, you have a special security gate that you go through, you get a tourist map of Agra, and you can take a bus or golf cart service to the entry gate. So when your guide drops you off and you have that long stretch of walk that you're supposed to do, you can actually hop on that kind of golf cart shuttle bus, which is really fun. But it's also one of those things where, like, the minute you see it there, you have to pounce on it. It's quite aggressive because everyone's just trying to jump on them. So there is no room for hesitation. You jump on that cart and you go.
Hey, we are just on our way to Taj Mahal, visiting them, and just honking, obviously honking. Nothing else, it was only honking.
Let's see how it goes. Don't worry. So after the golf cart dropped us off, we probably still had a couple minutes walk stretch before we got to the security gates. And it's a stretch of like lots of different shops and food vendors, a lot of people are trying to come up to you to kind of hawk their goods. Our guide warned us that because we had timed entries, we really couldn't spend time shopping or looking at different kind of touristy kind of souvenir type things on the way into the Taj Mahal, but he said there'd be time to do that on the way back, because you do have a very specific timed entry, and then you have a very specific amount of time. I believe it's only a few hours that I think it was maybe even 2 hours for us that we were allowed to be in the Taj Mahal. So they have these things kind of very regimented. So we made our way to first the ticket office, where our guide picked up our tickets for us, gave us our kind of, you don't have to wear the shoe covers until you go into the mausoleum, actually inside the Taj. So there's specific points you have to put the shoe covers on, but I don't believe we had to wear them throughout the entire visit. So we made our way to the ticket office, we got our water, we got everything else, and then we proceeded to go through security. Now, we had received a pretty lengthy talk from our guide in the hotel, really having us go through all of our bags with a fine-tooth comb to make sure we could speed up that security process. It's very similar to going through airport security, but you can only bring small bags. So they really discourage having any sort of large bag at all. A backpack is fine, but a small backpack, I believe, was okay. So we were really encouraged, like the smaller the bag, the better. I was allowed to have kind of my normal size handbag, and you're allowed to have things like your phone, your camera, but you're actually not allowed, I'm just reading from my notes here so I remember all the things to tell you, and please do some more research on this online if you're not going with a guide. So you cannot bring edibles, you cannot bring tobacco products or lighters, you cannot bring any electrical items. So this includes phone chargers, headphones, iPads, any sort of flashlight or torch, any sort of electrical item at all besides your phone or camera is not allowed, including the chargers, which is crazy. You're not allowed to bring any knives inside. You're not allowed to bring any food inside. And you're also not allowed to bring in any sort of like camera tripods or like dongles. And I was traveling with like a whole video production crew. And granted, this was our free time, but you can imagine the toys they were pulling out of their bag, and our guide was just like, no, you can't bring that in. So my little point and shoot Canon G7X was fine for that. I had my, I had 2 cell phones with me just for battery conserving, but you can't bring your portable battery charger or anything like that. They will take that away from you. They also separate genders when you go into the Taj Mahal as well. So I had to go through a separate security line from the boys that I was traveling with. But again, perfectly fine. You know, it was a little bit of a scary moment because you have to put like all your valuables through, and the queues are quite long, so you are kind of separated from your belongings for a bit, but they really try to move you along quite quickly. And there's so many guards kind of looking after you, so it did go very quickly. It was fine, nothing was stolen, and nor any issues with that. So that was good. And then from there, we were in the Taj Mahal. So the Taj Mahal complex is actually pretty massive, but let's go into a little bit of detail on the Taj Mahal itself before we go in. So a little bit of history. So the Taj Mahal, for those that are not aware, is actually a mausoleum, you know, arguably kind of the most spectacular mausoleum in the world. And it was commissioned in 1632 by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who reigned from 1628 through 1658. And the Taj Mahal actually houses the tomb of Shah Jahan himself, as well as his second and reportedly favorite wife, I hope I'm saying this right, Mumtaz Mahal. And the construction of the Taj Mahal mausoleum was actually completed in 1643, but work continued on other phases of the project for another 10 years. And it's actually believed that the Taj Mahal complex was said to have been completed in its entirety in 1653, and it was estimated to have cost about 32 million rupees. But if you factor that into currency conversion, or what kind of it would have actually cost today, experts have estimated it would have cost around 70 billion rupees to make. And that's about 916 million US dollars. So it's pretty crazy. And you know, when you first walk into the complex, you don't see the Taj Mahal. You see some of the other buildings and other kind of mausoleums in the complex. And all of them are spectacular, but nothing can quite prepare you for when you turn that corner and see the Taj itself. I really did enjoy just the first entry to the Taj Mahal, seeing the grounds, because I think something we take for granted when we see pictures of the Taj Mahal, we think the complex is just the Taj Mahal itself, but it's so much thought and detail has been put into the entire complex, from all of the different buildings to the gardens there to the kind of fountains and kind of reflecting pools that they have. It's just spectacular. But nothing can really prepare you for when you turn that corner and there's this amazing archway that looks into the Taj Mahal, and it is just such a breathtaking moment when you see the Taj Mahal for the first time. The sheer size and grandeur, it makes you feel so incredibly small. It's just absolutely spectacular. So the reason why the Taj Mahal was actually built, it was built kind of in memory of the Shah's second wife. But the reason why she passed away is she died during childbirth for their 14th child, which is also pretty crazy. And what I loved about seeing the Taj Mahal is the emperor's love for symmetry and his demand for perfection is evident in all of the kind of architectural aspects and design aspects of the Taj Mahal. Everything from the construction style to the layout of the grounds, the materials that he used, and the special techniques. And this is where it really helps having a guide, and why I would really recommend having one, because I'm not going to reiterate kind of every bit from my guide here, because I want you to kind of go see it for yourself and experience it. But really kind of talking through kind of every stone, every precious gem, every element found in the Taj Mahal from our guide was really, really spectacular and just incredible to hear. And one takeaway that I had is the construction of the the construction of the project reportedly had 20,000 artisans involved, which was pretty crazy. It was done under a board of architects led by the court architect to the emperor, Ustad Ahmad Lahori. I hope I'm saying that right. And it's not surprising that the Taj Mahal has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983 for being described as the jewel of Muslim art in India and as one of the most universally admired masterpieces of the world's heritage. I really do believe it's worth kind of those distinctions after seeing it. It's so remarkable, and part of the joy of being there is, yes, kind of hearing the history and the significance of all the design was wonderful, but also just wandering the grounds, taking it in, experiencing it all. It's just remarkable. And interestingly, I would say it's not surprising to me that the Taj Mahal attracts millions and millions and millions of visitors annually. And they said, stats I pulled is, as of 2014, there were about 8 million visitors to the Taj Mahal, and that was up from 2 million visitors in 2001. So I'm sure that's even increased more into around the time that I visited. And the time that I visited in October was actually around the time of Diwali, so it was even more crowded than usual. But I would recommend actually visiting in October because it was hot outside, but not unbearably so. I was wearing kind of a 3/4 sleeve long cardigan, some kind of 3/4 length tights, a tunic dress, kind of had my layers on, which I think is appropriate in India. And in terms of what you see people wearing there, it really runs the gamut. You know, guys are in like different kinds of like shorts and t-shirts. Some of the women though are so dressed up in the most beautiful saris that you've ever seen. And that's also an important point to touch on because it is a really special, it's such a special place for Indians to come visit, and people make pilgrimages to come see the Taj Mahal from all parts of India. And it really is a special visit. So everyone's posing for lots and lots of pictures. And don't be surprised as a foreigner if you also get asked to be part of those pictures. We were warned this in advance by our tour guide, and he said, you know, it's really up to you if you want to pose for pictures. But the danger of doing so is that lots and lots of people will start to queue up and want a picture with you. And I was just told this was quite common with foreigners. And I guess if you're someone from India watching this, could you please leave a comment below as to why you want a selfie with someone like me when you go to the Taj Mahal? But what was interesting is I noticed no men alone asked me for a picture alone. I thought they were quite respectful. A lot of women and teenage girls did ask for pictures alone with me. And then I was with a group of 5 guys, and I found it quite funny that a lot of like the Indian teenage girls were asking them for selfies alone with them, cheeky girls. And the guys were, they were blushing so much. They were like, why do you want a picture with me? So that was really sweet. And you know, we tried to take some pictures with people, but because we had that kind of strict time limit for how long we were allowed in the Taj Mahal, we only could do so many. So, you know, that was just something that was interesting to share as well. But overall, I really loved my visit to the Taj Mahal. I highly recommend that you spend some time, that you, if you've ever wanted to go to India, you've ever wanted to go to Delhi, you've ever wanted to see the Taj Mahal, I highly recommend that you do it. It's such a special place. It's the sheer size and grandeur will literally take your breath away. And I think it is worth its designation as one of the 7 wonders of the world and a UNESCO World Heritage Site because it is that spectacular. So I do highly recommend you go. I'm so happy that I went. It's something that I will keep with me in my heart forever, that I've seen kind of this magical place. And I would recommend that you kind of use a guide and just do it properly. It's nice to be shown around and really explain the history. So you spent all this time and effort to get there. You might as well really learn as much as you can and really kind of be respectful about it. So would highly recommend that. So thanks again guys for tuning in today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing my visit to the Taj Mahal. If you've ever been to the Taj Mahal and you have any travel tips, any great guides, any resources that you use, please leave a comment down below. Sharing is caring here on this channel. If you want to see more content like this, please like this video, please leave a comment, and also please subscribe because I post tons and tons of travel and lifestyle videos. So thanks again for tuning in guys. I will see you soon.